And hello, welcome back to my channel again. I never really know how to start off these YouTube videos. I guess because I'm still just doing a couple of them to begin with, and so I'm a little bit shit. But I think when you're starting off something new, you're always going to be a little bit shit, right? But the only way to get better at them is by continuing to do it, right? So if you're someone that struggles, I don't know, getting into shape because you find it difficult to begin with, that's going to happen, all right? I'm pretty shit at these things, but the only way I'm going to get better is by continuing to practice it. So maybe in, I don't know, 10, 20, 30 YouTube videos time, I'll have a better introduction or a better way of starting these videos. But I've got a little Q&A for you today. I put on my Instagram stories a short while ago, looking for some questions and answers. That could be in relation to anything, health, fitness, what I get up to, what you want to know about me, just fire away. And we had a couple of questions based on the image that I used for that story. So I'm going to use this as a little bit of a Q&A story time today to talk about that image and why I was in hospital. But also another question that we've got, which we'll start with first because it's non-related to story time. So J Preston 699 says, what is the most misperformed exercise at the gym? And I had to give this a little bit of a thought, and I'll probably say it would be your conventional deadlifts. It's probably the number one exercise that I see most people who don't know how to do it incorrectly. A lot of rounding in the back, a lot of driving up with the spine to bring that weight up as opposed to keeping a more neutral back with a good strong hip hinge position. So I think without doubt, deadlifts, and I think everyone that's ever tried deadlifting alone without any coaching or any form technique reviews, anything like that, will always deadlift it wrong to begin with. And if you're not careful, you're going to do a lot of damage to your back. So just make sure that you are lifting it effectively. And for Christ's sake, if you're not sure how to do it, just ask someone else in the gym that you think might know how to deadlift, or if you're in the gym, ask one of the PTs or trainers there just to give you a little bit of a hand on how to do that, right? Because if they're in a gym, they should know how to deadlift effectively. That I got on my story was in relation to me being in hospital and the picture that I used on my story about whether I was in hospital at that moment I posted it, or what was I in hospital for, and things like that. Some thought I was having a bit of a butt lift, but when you see these glutes, you don't need it, all right? This is all natural. I don't need any of that stuff, all right? Yes, this picture of while I was in hospital was over a little issue that I had, I think it was last year or the end of 2 years ago, with some issues that I had with what I thought was maybe my kidneys or my intestines, but basically something going on in my stomach, which essentially caused me to be in a lot of agony, laying on my partner's bathroom floor in just the most pain I've ever been in. I couldn't describe it to you because it was just excruciating, and I've never felt a pain like it before. I'd been basically struggling to go to the toilet for maybe like a few days or a week or so, and then it just sort of like this pain kicked in. So I went out to hospital to go and get it checked out, and was sent to A&E like everyone has done, but essentially I was not going to be waiting in A&E for hours and hours on end, so I maybe kicked up a fuss whilst I was there because of the pain that I was in, and I was rushed to a ward where they basically put me on a drip because I was really dehydrated, and basically just like run me through for some tests and stuff to try and find out what the problem was, essentially. Now, what the issue was that I had really high creatinine levels. So not creatine, which might be supplements that a few of you take when it comes to muscle building and your performance in the gym, but creatinine. So just take off a letter and add a couple more on at the end. But for those that don't know, creatinine is essentially a waste product that your body sort of releases with the digestion of food, which does come through the consumption of creatine in the system. So not just necessarily sort of supplement version, but you can also get creatine from like red meats and things like that, right? So things like your beef that you might eat, you'll get creatine through that as well. So essentially those levels were really, really high. And the way that I had to overcome that was stay in hospital for a few days to essentially take laxatives, drink plenty of water to try and flush that stuff out of my system. Now, why those levels were really high I don't know, and the hospital still don't know. There was nothing to suggest that a particular food or a particular moment had triggered it, and it was just something that obviously built up a lot over time. And even to this day, I'm still none the wiser as to why I was in so much pain. I don't do anything differently now to what I do back then. There was a period where I stopped taking creatine to try and obviously keep those levels down. But essentially, I'm still taking creatine now for training days. Not so much on rest days, purely because I just forget to take it. But I will take creatine on my training days. I will still be eating the same sort of foods that I ate back then, but essentially was just a build-up that left me in hospital for, say, 3 or 4 days until my creatinine levels had come down to a more normal rate. I don't know what the normal range needs to be. I honestly couldn't remember from when I was previously in there, but that's essentially why I was in hospital. Now, would I be sitting here telling people to stop taking creatine or think that it is a issue or is there to scare you? Absolutely not, right? It is scientifically proven to be one of the best supplements for muscle growth and performance in the gym. And even though there are rumours and my own experience myself of being in hospital, I don't put it down to the fact that I was taking too much creatine or taking an awful lot, because I wasn't having exceeding the amounts recommended, right? I was still taking it before workouts and I was still eating, red meat, etc. that I do now. And I've had no real issues since then. So I put it down to one of those freak accidents that happened, and maybe at the time my body was just processing things a little bit differently. But yeah, that was my experience in hospital. I've got a lot of great pictures, as you'll see in this video. But yeah, it was just a case of then being discharged from hospital and just keep an eye on things as they do through urine samples, through blood tests, etc. And everything seems to be all fit and healthy. And since then, I've had tests for various things since then, and everything seems to be pretty normal. So even though I'm a little bit of a weirdo, everything is normal in the old body and the system. If you're not following me on Instagram and the YouTubes, then make sure you do. And I will answer various question and answers over the coming months for more videos, anything that you want to know. If you followed me for a while, you will see that I'm a pretty open and transparent coach. I don't tend to hide anything. I'm just a normal guy that just likes to help people I'm just a normal guy that likes to get people in incredible shape and feeling a whole lot better about themselves. So if you've got any questions, anything that you want to ask, leave them in the comment section below. I'll answer them for another video. If you want to know various other stories about what I've got up to in my life, because I have had my fair share, I think, of memorable moments, then again, give me a follow on the old Instagrams, drop a comment in the comment section below, and if you want to subscribe to my email list where you'll hear a whole lot more about my funny stories and stuff that I get up to, then follow my Instagram, drop me a DM, and I'll get you added to the mailing list. But until next time, peace out.